Hello, and welcome to Dublin Arsenal Preview Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles. On this week's show, myself and fellow gooner Eamon Donnelly will be previewing our upcoming Premier League fixture versus Andoni Iraola's Bournemouth side at the Vitality Stadium live on Sky Sports Premier League at 5:30 this Saturday, October the 19th. And remember to check out the Faltering Fullback Pub in Finsbury Park, another top venue for Arsenal match days. So sit back and enjoy the show. As I said on my intro, I'm joined by Irish Gooner season ticket holder Eamon Donnelly. How are you, pal?
Evening, Jonathan. Red fingers here. It's like Oppenheimer out there with the fireworks. Back in my day, we only had starlights there. And one or two stink bombs. Remember them? The Halloween season. The Halloween season is in full flow here in D11. Jesus, no, honestly, God, back in our day, it was an apple on a string on Halloween day itself. And nowadays, if you had a mask, it improved things. But yeah, that's life. That's the aging process, unfortunately. But looking forward to getting real football back on after that interlude.
Yeah, it's quite a pain, the international break.
I enjoyed watching the Irish team last night. I thought they were very brave.
The second half.
Second half, they were very brave. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with, just briefly, Charlie Taylor, the lad that came on, the Ipswich Town lad. He caused a few problems when he came on.
Yeah, Jack Taylor.
Jack Taylor's the Charlie. Yeah,
he shares a name with the guy who refereed the 1974 World Cup final. There you go. Jack Taylor. They're not the same guy, trust me,
He looks to be 20 years younger now.
He chipped a bit. No, he was very good. He actually, without getting into reviewing the Ireland game, he changed the entire dynamic of that game.
Yes.
By getting on the ball,
Yeah, he put himself about, and even the header he had, it was a great save.
He got on the ball a lot,
all hoping for a strong end to the qualifying campaign for the Irish. But this being the Dublin Arsenal preview show, it's back to business in 2 days' time. A big one again against Andoni Iraola's Bournemouth side. Who strengthened quite good, I think, in the summer. Evan Nielsen, which we know quite well, played again for Porto in the last 16 there back in February and March. Got off to discordant charts for them against Southampton a couple of weeks back in their 3-1 home victory. Of course, Neto went to ourselves. Kepa, unknown from Chelsea. I think that's where we could get a few goals. He's always a mistake in him. Sinisterra, obviously, we know from Leeds United, is a tricky winger. But I think they've got more sense. I kind of feared for them when they lost Dominic Solanke to Tottenham Hotspur because of being top scorer last season with 20 odd goals. But I think Arthur Semenyo has stepped up, I think, for them, and his performances in the first 6-7 games for them has been immense, really. I think Evan Nielsen will be a big sign, and I think he'll get goals for Bournemouth. The results to date, August 17th, the opening day of the season, away from home, Nottingham Forest 1-1. Their second game, the 25th, Newcastle 1-1. That amazing 3-2 victory at Goodison Park. Sorry, Richie White, for bringing that up. 2-0 up, Bournemouth. Here we come. 3 goals in about 10 minutes. September 14th, that 1-0 loss at home. How they didn't get anything out of that. I thought that was the most spectacular game of football, up to 0-0. It was the most entertaining end-to-end game I ever saw. 3-0 defeat at Anfield probably wasn't unexpected. Going to Anfield, they were quite open. Bournemouth and Liverpool just found the gaps and capitalised well. And obviously the Monday night when Mr. Barber was on the show, 3-1. They got spanked 3-0 in the first half, I think it was. And Bernard Harbour, and last week they lost 1-0 away to Leicester, which is never an easy place to go to. But in terms of our last meetings, last September was at the Vitality Stadium when Saka, 2 penalties by Odegaard, Havertz, and Ben White with a great fourth in the 4-0 away win. And I think that game, believe it or not, that 4-0 spanking sparked Bournemouth into life. They really improved actually beyond that. And then, of course, May, with 3 games to go, we won 3-0 at the Emirates. Saka, Trossard and Rice. But at that stage, Bournemouth were all but safe. But coming to yourself, Eamon, they used that Dominic Solanke money very clever, didn't they, in signing Evan Nielsen? He looks at you in it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. But I just want to comment on Bournemouth as a club, because I've been watching football, born in 1965, watching football since 1971, and you could look at all the clubs that have been in and out of the top flight over those decades, and most of them find their way back. Like Leeds have found their way back, Ipswich have found their way back, West Brom tend to find their way back, Southampton find their way back, and traditionally Bournemouth were the 3rd or the 4th division club with a small little stadium. And I remember they beat Man United. I think Harry Redknapp might have been managing them or something like that, way back in the early 80s in an FA Cup match. And honest to God, it would be like the equivalent of, Fleetwood Town beating Manchester City now.
Yeah.
It was a seismic result. I mean, Bournemouth beating Manchester United as they did last season in Old Trafford wouldn't be anything near a shot nowadays,
It's great to hear that.
So it's a small club
with a big heart.
That is with a big heart that's punched above its weight, right? And look, they had 5 seasons in the Premier League, went down for 2 seasons, came back up, and their positioning was 14th, 12th, 9th, 16th, and then relegation, and then 15th and 12th. For them to be achieving that's nothing short of phenomenal, right? And they got rid of Gary O'Neill, as you know, and people said that was a disgrace. I don't know whether sometimes, even with very, very good managers, and he is one, momentum can start going against you. A bit like Unai when he was at our place, just things were going against him. And then Iraola comes in, and it looks disastrous for a while.
Yeah.
But he changed it round. And he deserves great credit. He's from the same parts as our man. He's steely enough. So that's the first thing I'd say about Bournemouth. The second thing, in looking at the game,
for cutting across you, I think a lot of credit has to go to a certain Eddie Howe as well. He brought
obviously a lot of credit goes to Eddie Howe. I mean, enormous credit goes to Eddie Howe.
In terms of the exciting style of football, it's kind of been continued on, hasn't it? In terms of it's.
I remember when they came up first. They played us.
Yeah.
They were training up. We got a 3-3 draw, Giroud, and I remember when they were training up, having to almost, you nearly had to deafen from the commentary, because it would have been like, a 3rd or 4th division club.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they were perceived. And what I'm saying is that they've established themselves in the Premiership. I think Semenyo has really stepped up in Solanke's absence, Sinisterra, as you say.
Yeah.
But they've also got Tavernier, who's he's a tidy player. And then they've got experienced players like Ryan Christie. They've got Max Aarons in the squad as well. I remember Max Aarons, I put him in the Buendia category, even though they're 2 different players, in that Arsenal fans had meltdowns when we didn't sign this guy. Max Aarons, Anyway, there you go. Ben White, Max Aarons. One of these things is not like the other. I'm going for Ben White on that one, I'm afraid.
Yes.
Anyway, look, But just in relation to the game itself, you see, these international breaks, they can throw up all sorts of scenarios. I mean, at the moment, we'll be picking our team from the A&E ward in Whittington Hospital in Finsbury Park. You know, if you read, if what you read is to be believed, I wish Arsenal fans last week they were sending me, while the season was still in play, they kept sending me videos of teams kicking the ball away. You know, I don't want to see any of them. This week it's how many players have either nearly died, you know, lost limbs. You know, it's injury after injury after. I don't think our injury news is going to be half as bad as people think, right? I say that hopefully. I think B, I think B will be fit, Saka, but I'm not sure they'll play him, given what's around the corner.
Yeah,
And I think Timber and Havertz were precautionary. I think Timber in particular was actually, we didn't play him against Southampton to keep him out of the Dutch squad. You know, I understand Havertz is okay. Ben White, I'm worried about. That's a groin injury that hasn't healed up yet. But look, we'll see how that goes. Zinchenko is still crocked. Odegaard is out for another 4 weeks. Thomas Partey didn't travel. And then you've got Martinelli now going around with a club foot. So, you know, I wish these bloody international breaks would just end. But look, we shouldn't get caught up in the victim complex. Every club sends their players out.
yeah.
Every club runs the same risk. And we still have enough good players to go and do a job on Saturday if we're at it. I like the fact that it's the evening game. I think we're good in the evening games.
Be
Them
quite happy
Saturday,
for.
them Saturday morning games do my head in, you know.
Yeah, just I can't buy into them. You know, yeah, I think the pitch as well in the Vitality Stadium. It's kind of like the old Highbury. The fans are very close to it, isn't it? You know, it's that intimidating type
No,
of.
it's a bigger playing surface than the old Highbury. The old Highbury playing surface was too bloody small, you
Yeah.
know.
When you look at the
Um,
Bournemouth pitch, I'm telling you, it looks tiny. Yeah,
yeah, but that's because the camera is down close.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
right on top. Yeah.
but look, I mean, as you said,
What
they've
do you
had.
think in relation to Eamon Kappa? The I think if we get at him, particularly corners, there's a mistake in Kappa, isn't there?
Yeah, but you can't be relying. You can't be relying on that. I think we've got we've got to look at imposing ourselves. Again, what I saw of Bournemouth this season. First of all, they're 2-0 down at Everton.
Yeah.
And they come back. Now that takes Cajonis. Right?
Just to open up like that, yeah.
And by the way they achieved that, strangely enough, was they mixed their game into two. When they were 2-0 down, and Everton decided to consolidate, Bournemouth got on the ball and dominated possession and found a way back into the game that way. Then when they got to 2-2, everything came onto them to get an equaliser, to get a winner. Bournemouth switched their game into counter-attacking, and then they actually daggered them down on the counter-attack. And that, I think they've got a manager who, I think he's the type of manager, no disrespect to Bournemouth, who I expect a really, really tough game. But the point I'm making is if that manager had top players, I think he could do a lot with them, you know. But look, they're quite athletic too.
They're
You
fit,
know,
aren't they? Yeah. They
they
break
are.
on you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do you know what I'm kind of looking forward to as well, Eamon? A duel that I'm looking forward to in the game is Evan Nielsen and Gabriel, two Brazilians. You know, I think they could relish that, or if not him, Saliba. You know,
Well, you're
he looks like,
assuming Gabriel doesn't come back in a coffin from Brazil. Look, I mean, like the right things are going. He still has to play. He still has to play on the early hours of Wednesday morning against Peru.
it's
You know,
ridiculous, isn't it? It's fucking.
like, it is now. You know, but anyway, it is what it is. You know, but I see Gabriel. He got something like 100% of his tackles and clearances and 35 man of the match and all sorts.
Yeah,
He's
he's been. Yeah.
Somebody sent me something. Sparky Johnny Gugu about Gabriel's stats or something, and I said, well, Arteta has improved him big time. He
Who,
wasn't always
Gabriel?
like that. He wasn't always like that, you
No,
know.
he wasn't. No, yeah, he has improved. Yeah,
He has improved him. But look,
yeah.
you always worry about these games.
After the international break, don't you?
Well,
Yeah,
you do.
yeah,
But not only that, but like the TV is up there, the cameras are there.
yeah.
It's a small little ground. We're going down there, expected to win, blah blah blah. You'd argue maybe going to Tottenham after the last international break was exactly what we needed because it was such a high profile game. You
Game, yeah,
don't run the risk of undercooking yourself. I don't mean this Arsenal team doesn't do complacency,
yeah,
but sometimes you can just be a little bit undercooked.
yeah.
And the time you can be undercooked most, I suppose, would be when the squad hasn't been together for a week or two, and that's the risk you run. Plus, there's the old debate about contraception and the Billings method. And Philip Billing in the middle of the pitch as well. You never know what he's going to do. He can be either terrible or brilliant.
Brilliant.
And if you
Yeah,
get him on a brilliant day, he can run a game.
he can run. And no, he was quite good as well. Justin Kluivert is
I'm
quite
not.
tricky.
Oh, geez, I better not say this because I'll put a mockers on it. I think he's very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
not as good as his father, but he's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah,
there's
true.
much
Yes,
there now.
there's a
Yeah.
bit about him though. There's a bit of grit in Justin Kluivert. He can put his foot in as well. He's a bit of a gutsy player. Yeah,
I always thought about him that he was a bit of he suffered by being compared to his father. He wasn't the same
I think that.
athletic
Yeah,
specimen as Patrick was much taller man,
taller. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Patrick was different gravy, ability wise. I'm not sure his attitude was always that great, but he was like what Carl Lewis was in athletics. He had all the natural ability,
Yeah.
and
I think injuries
I mean, he
hampered
had a
him as
good
well.
career.
Yeah,
He had a good career, but he didn't have a career, let's say, like Ruud van Nistelrooy,
yeah.
who was far less gifted but much more effective.
In
You
fact,
know,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's the best way to describe him. Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think Justin has suffered from that a small bit, but I think he's kind of found his niche in Bournemouth and really kind of settled in, and he's part of the community there, the football community. He's getting regular game time, and he's been much more impressive, I think, in the last 12 months than he was before that. So
I think so. It takes its season. He's growing into it, hasn't he? Yeah, I
I think
think
so. Yeah,
Iraola as well has to play a big part in that. He's growing a lot of Bournemouth players kind of onto the
yeah.
next level, hasn't he? I think Arteta has a lot of time for him as well.
Well, they're from, as I said, they're from the
Past
same,
region. Yeah,
they're from the same neck of the woods.
yeah. He's touted to be the next Arsenal manager.
But look, if all things, I don't think we need to have that conversation for a few years yet. But
There hasn't been the meltdowns as yet. Yeah.
I think of all, look, we've got to see what we have available to us. We have a few days to get the players ready. The last international break, the English, the only thing that's the same as the last international break is the Brazilian players don't get back until kind of Wednesday, Thursday. But the other internationals are back earlier. So we've time to get ourselves sorted. And look, this
There's a
Arsenal
question
team,
here for you, actually, Eamon.
yeah.
Where do you think we can get at Bournemouth on Saturday best? Where do you think is their weak spots?
Well, I watched I saw the entire Bournemouth Chelsea game, and it's like a tennis match. It could have been 9-7 in the third set.
It was the most entertaining match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
I
crazy.
think
Yeah.
I think they cough up chances. You can play through their lines. I think you can play through their lines, and well, it depends. It depends on what way they play, Jonathan, because last year they decided to play in a complete low block against us at home, and we done them on set pieces, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right, our little man again. He was there, right? But and if they do that again, well, then it's just going to be like, we're going to have to rely on the same type of thing, a key pass or whatever. But if they play the way Bournemouth have been playing, you can play through them. But they're quite aggressive on the front foot themselves,
But that's
And I think we have better players playing through their lines than they have better players playing through ours.
Yeah. I think it's on to be. I think there'll be a few goals in this game, though. I can see.
I wouldn't say that to Gabriel and Saliba in person because they take that personally.
We see just Gabriel.
Yeah, they've only conceded 10 in 7 games, so they're not hemorrhaging goals,
Yeah, and the goals that you've mentioned there, 3 were against
Liverpool and Anfield.
At Anfield, sadly that was Kepa's first game, believe it or not, as a new signing. But since then, like that 3-1 home victory against Southampton got to destroy them in the first half.
This is it. They made far easier work at Southampton than we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Burners, for attacking me again. It's another. It's never an easy place to go to the Vitality. They make it very as hostile as they can, and I'm sure they'll make quite a game. But for Bournemouth, up to the next international break, they Villa away, Man City at home, and Brentford away. So really tough games, coming up for them. But they can be a match for anyone on the day. Really, I don't think they fear it.
Jonathan, it's just a game that we need to get into the bonnet of the car, do the dirty work, and get the job done.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in fellas looking for, us playing with panache. We just need to
get in there, get the result.
Yeah,
especially if the first game after another international break, you just want to get in there, get the result, and move on. Yeah,
especially as there's a 35th birthday party of the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club. Imagine the state of that if we don't do well,
There may not be a 36.
Everybody will blame me. They all think that I'm the manager's representative on earth. And that includes Emery and Wenger, Don't blame me,
Blame the club. I like that. I'd just like to mention as well, players to have played for both, only a few, but of course, and the most recent one is Neto, obviously coming to us at the end of the transfer window. Benicophobe, who
he was a bright lad, yeah.
He was strong, muscly. Got a few goals. Remember, he scored in that match. If you remember, in 2018, December 2018, that mad game against Liverpool, where they won 4-3. He got the third, I think, in that game to make it level.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen for him at Arsenal. Really, did it for a Phobie?
But he's competing with Theo Walcott, Olivier Giroud.
It's tough competition to get past. Jack Wilshere, of course.
Danny Welbeck was there at the time as well,
Danny he was. That was unfortunate, actually. Yeah, Welbeck was on fire then. Wilshere had to go to actually loan season with Bournemouth back then. Aaron Ramsdale was there. Ryan Gerry back in the day, he was around
Ryan Gerry now.
Remember Ryan Gerry?
He came up through our youths. Yeah.
He was quite decent actually as a player. Vince Bartram. Remember him as a goalkeeper?
Who?
Vince Bartram.
I do. This is like strictly for the enthusiast. I actually do remember Vince Bartram. Yeah.
And believe it or not, he didn't play a game for them. But when I looked this up today, Christopher Ray.
Jesus Christ,
he went there in 2000, never played a game and left.
Christopher Ray,
remember him, George Weah's cousin?
Nephew of George Weah, Remember on the Arsenal video, the body said to me, quit the ball, come and play Arsenal, come and play Arsenal, the body said to me, it was brilliant. I think what he was trying to say was the boss, he said to me, come and play for Arsenal, but he had the most broken English of all those guys, and he got a couple of stunning goals, but he was no good.
He was in the 97-98 team, and I think he scored the winner against Bolton that night. We won 1-0.
It was like what's going on outside here. It was like a firecracker.
I think I see him there just.
Christopher Ray outside my window. Come on in, Chris. You know? Sorry, I'm at the Emirates.
I think he's working for Amazon Prime as a driver now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he scored a few belters though, in fairness.
He won the cup final in '98, you know?
He did actually, yeah.
Yeah.
He won you can always say he won the Dublin.
Yeah.
Is that like your man Ali D of Southampton lasted for?
No, I mean Christopher Ray wasn't good by comparison with the great players that we had. But Ali Dia, look if Ali Dia to come on playing in some of the 6 and 7 sides that I play in, I'd kick them off the pitch myself and said, get off. You know, it was you wonder, like, it's a bit like, you know, letting Charles Manson into a local sing song. How did he get into a team like that? No, come on, Charles, come on and join the party. Yeah. Oh Lord God. Yeah. Anyway. There you go. So
he got his 45 minutes of fame.
I'm going for 3-1 to us on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough, but yeah, I say I'd probably go with 2-1 to be safe. Yeah, 2-1 to the Arsenal. And of course, we hope to see you in a couple of days' time in the River Bar, as Eamon said, the 35th anniversary of the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club. And I'm sure pre and post match there's going to be plenty of drinks and celebrations to be had as well, and hopefully an Arsenal victory. Sadly, we tried to get a Bournemouth fan. I went through all the avenues, but sadly none out there. So we hope to find one again for a return match. But I'd just like to thank Eamon and Donnelly for coming on the preview show. Much appreciation, Eamon, as always. And as always, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and on Spotify. So until next week, thanks for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you then.
Cheers, Jonathan. See you later, mate.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks, Eamon.